as usual. I'm going to tell you guys a story I've told y'all before, but for those of you who've forgotten it, which is probably most of you, and for those of you that are new, I thought I would share it. We like to pray a lot here, but in my experience, just knowing lots and lots of people through the years, people struggle with prayer. And one of the reasons that we struggle with prayer is because it's really hard to see the value in prayer. Yes, we know that Jesus tells us to pray. Yes, we know that the Bible tells us to pray. But so often we're praying, and what feels like we're praying into this ether, right? This expanse where our prayers just kind of go and they disappear to, and we never know if our prayers matter, if our prayers are heard, if they actually change things. And one of the things that compounds this is, and this may not mean much to a lot of you right now, but I guarantee it will over time, is people will tell you, well, prayer changes things. And then if you ask, well, how does prayer change things? And very often people will tell you, well, actually what happens most often is that you're changed on the inside, right? Is that praying kind of, it gives us peace, and it causes us, when we spend time in prayer and meditation, it gives us this peace and this comfort. And as good as that sounds, that is nothing more than New Age spiritualism. Because you can be a Buddhist, and you can meditate, and you can pray, and you can take this quiet reserve, and you can find peace in that. By quieting your mind and by slowing down, you will find peace. Prayer doesn't change things for us as Christians because we find peace in it. Prayer changes things because there's a very, very real God who really, really hears our prayers, and he really, really responds. He really, really cares that we speak to him. When I was a freshman in college, so not much older than a lot of you in here, and much younger than some of us in here. When I was a freshman in college, there was a guy that lived across the hall from me. And in our dorm, we had a pretty tight-knit community after a while. We all got to be good friends. And there was this guy that was living across the hall from me, and he started partying, and he started drinking. And I watched this guy that had, by his own admission, grown up in a Christian household, really start to tank. He was just going downhill very quickly. And I could tell just from the conversations we'd had, he'd grown up in church, but it didn't sound like he ever really knew Jesus. And so I started witnessing to him. I mean, I did the best job of witnessing to him that I could. Over and over and over again, I would tell him about Jesus. And finally, it got so irritating to him, and I'm sure I was not very good at this, that he started ignoring me altogether. We always used to have our doors open all the time. We'd come in and out of each other's rooms, and he started closing and locking his door. He started making sure that he knew when I was coming and going. And I mean, for a guy that we had seen each other, on the hour, every hour for months, all of a sudden I didn't see him for probably 2 months. And so I would go to the Lord in prayer and tell him, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm supposed to be witnessing to this guy, and I've probably chased him off, so I've done like a really terrible job. So I felt kind of bad about that. And so I was telling the Lord, what do I do? And one of the days in prayer, I had this brilliant idea, right? And so I decided I'm going to pray for him because I can't witness to him anymore because he's ignoring me, he's avoiding me. So I'm going to start praying for him. I'm going to sick the Lord on him. I'm going to pray for him an hour a day. At my lunch hour. I'd pray from noon to 1 every single day that this guy across the hall from me would get saved. And so I did that. Every day I'd come home, I'd eat a little lunch, and I would pray for an hour, or at least I would try to. Most days I actually fell asleep while I was praying for him, but that's okay. It happens. And after I'd been praying for him for a few weeks, I had another bright idea. I thought, you know what? I'm going to start praying something real specific for him. And so I said, Lord, I want you to make it to where my friend cannot walk across campus without meeting a Christian. I want every single person that he meets on campus for the next 2 weeks to be a Christian, and I want every single one of them to witness to him. I don't want him to meet a single person on campus that's not a Christian for 2 weeks. Now, I don't know why. I think I have a good idea why I prayed that specific prayer. But that prayer just kind of came to me, and I prayed that specific prayer, and I prayed it every day for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, I kind of went on to praying other things for him. And a few weeks later, I came up into the dorm. I walked all the way up. We were on the 4th floor. I got up to the 4th floor, and the way our dorm was is like a giant donut with a courtyard in the middle. And you could come up one set of stairs, the opposite set of stairs, and get to your room from 2 different locations. So I came up a set of stairs, and I was walking to my dorm room, and I saw him walking down the hall coming from the other direction. This is the first time I've seen this guy in what I think was at least a month, maybe 2. And so I'm thinking to myself, do I say something to him? Do I use one more opportunity to witness to him? I'm thinking, no, I've already turned this guy off so much by doing that. I better not. So I turned into my room. I left my door open, and I went, put my backpack down. I was about to sit down at my desk, and I could feel someone behind me, so I turned around, he's there, standing at my door. I said, hey. He's like, hey, can I come in? He's like, yeah. He was already like 3 steps in when he asked that, and he came and he just plopped down on my bed right next to my desk, and so I sat down at my desk, and I was like, what's up? He's like, man, I just want to say I'm sorry for avoiding you. I'm sorry I've been avoiding you. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm like, oh, no. I didn't notice. He's like, yeah. He's like, I was avoiding you because you were witnessing to me, and I was really irritated with that, and you wouldn't stop, so I just started locking the door and avoiding you. But he's like, I just want to apologize for that because, he's like, last night I gave my life to Jesus. And he's like, it was the craziest thing. For the last 2 weeks, every single person on campus that I met has been a Christian. And every single person on campus that I've met that's a Christian, they've all witnessed to me. Every single one. He's like, I haven't been able to meet anybody on campus that's not a Christian. Every single place that I would turn, there would be a Christian, they would witness to me. It's like after 2 weeks of that, I just couldn't take anymore. I realized the Lord was drawing me, and so I said yes. And I gave my life to the Lord. And I just wanted to say thank you because you were the first person here who had been witnessing to me, and I'd been ignoring it. I wanted you to know. That was pretty cool because it wasn't just that he told me that people had been witnessing to him, that he met a few Christians. It was that he told me exactly what I had prayed in secret. This guy that lived across the hall from me, the very thing that I prayed, that only one person in the universe heard. One person in the universe heard what I prayed for him. And that one person in the universe, he did exactly what I asked, right? Because my friend didn't tell me that, like, I've been thinking about what you said and all your witnessing, and I gave my life to the Lord. No, every single person he met for 2 weeks, and every single person witnessed to him. It was so precise what he said and what I had prayed. That changed me. I'd had things like that before, but never that precise, and that changed me. Prayer is not something that makes us feel better. I mean, it can, but that's not its primary purpose. Its primary purpose is that we are actually talking to the one person in the universe who can actually do something about any situation we're in our life or anyone else's life. He hears and he really cares. And all too often it's difficult for us to pray because we're not actually sure. We may say we know that God hears, but deep down inside we're not actually sure if he does. We're not actually sure if he cares. And I can promise you that he does. I can promise you that he does hear and that he does care. I want to encourage you. Pray specific prayers. Don't get discouraged if they're not always answered, but pray specific prayers. Ask the Lord for specific things that you can see him do with precision. And again, I've asked so many of those kinds of prayers, and most of them he doesn't answer. But a lot of them he has. A lot of them he has. And it will change you. It's powerful. Because you will know beyond the shadow of a doubt that he hears you and that your prayers matter. Are there any announcements?